Hello, everyone. Pop-up shop tonight. Secret special spontaneous Saturday LinkedIn live. Living with Annietude with Zoe-Anna. How are you, beautiful woman?
I'm fabulous this morning. Beautiful Annie. How you doing?
I'm good. So it's the morning. So I want to
8
tell
a.m.
you that it's 8 a.m. where you are in Sydney, correct?
Correct.
And I wanted to tell you, full disclosure, that I was going to get dressed up for you tonight because it's Saturday night. So this is like a date. So it ended up just being a V-neck t-shirt. So I'm sorry, but I tried my best to kind of look like a little bit of Saturday night action. You look awesome and hot and amazing. And I'm just here in my office / bedroom, just chilling. So
no, this is my chilling. This is my chilling
I love
outfit.
your chilling. Your chilling's amazing. So tell me, so this is my thing with my guests, right? Like I don't like to give some big intro because I feel like I want my guest who's taken the time to be with me on that evening or day to be able to sort of say who they are and give that to the world instead of me giving a bunch of words leading up to and you going, or no, maybe I screwed it up. So would you do me that favor and just sort of give me a quick blip on who you are?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay.
So who am I? I am a soul that is basically leaping into the unknown. I'm guiding people how to shift from sexuality into sensuality through a process of inner healing and how to then go into their shadows so they can release their divine gifts of what they're here to share with humanity. So it's almost like a guide, an activator, so then people can start remembering what they're here to do as we're on this beautiful mission of healing humanity. That's my path. So it's like my life from the moment I was born to now has been preparing me for what's happening now. So yeah, I'm working with men and women and guiding them. And I love it. I love it. It's a really beautiful gift to share.
It truly is. And you can feel it from you right away. Like I see in your eyes. I've watched you, I've watched talks that you've given in podcasts and I've seen that, but it hasn't been like focused in on you like I am right now. And it's just an amazing sort of beauty and energy and dynamic that you have with Zoe-Anna, like right away, just so that people know. They have like, there's not often huge blue eyes like that I'm looking back into. So it's an amazing feeling to sort of be with you this evening. I appreciate you. What happened was, just to give a little background, I obviously knew of you and had followed you and watched you and knew a little bit just by following your posts. But then one day, I think it was like 3 or 4 in the morning for me. And I was like checking LinkedIn Messenger and you popped up and you said like, what's the deal? When are we going to talk? I think that's what happened. And I said, you know what? Let's do a LinkedIn live pop-up. And you were like, done. And that's about as far as our pre-interview sort of decision went. So
Totally.
I felt instantly we have some love from your boy, Jason Leibowitz.
Yay! Hey, man.
I'm so glad he jumped on. I'm sure there's going to be lots of other love because I heard lots of people coming to see you tonight. But I thought that was really cool because typically like I'll, sort of have a talk or something before, but it just felt so natural with you to sort of plan this and just say, let's do it, girl. Let's just talk. There's no theme. There's nothing, there's just us on my Saturday night, your Sunday morning.
I love it. It's a date. It's a sleepover date.
We're having a sleepover, or you know what? It's actually, my daughter calls it a sleep under when they don't actually sleep over, because when they were too young, they would get together in like their PJs and then go home. So maybe we're having a sleep under tonight. So how did you know? You said from the time you were born. How did you know? Like, how did this start? How did you know? Because I'm 41. I'm going to be 42 in just a couple weeks. And
what's your birthday?
October 19th.
Ah, awesome.
Yeah. So I am just sort of really finding myself now, really coming into my own, finding my true purpose, the reason and mission, and like just my overall, the meaning of why I'm here. I don't know if that's on track or not on track or just my time or how it happened. So I just wanted to kind of find out how things unraveled for you or unrolled for you.
I guess from looking back, I like for all of us, and we all have different paths, but the journey that I went through was to unravel, to remember what I'm here to do. Excuse me. I need to get this out. So it's like with anything, it's almost all coming to completion now.
Yeah.
Started really, really refining about 2-3 years ago. And even that, there was still more refining to do this year with, you feel that's what it is. And there's more fine tuning. There were more lessons to really get to this point now of it being so clear and so direct that it's that deep inner knowing of what it was. But it was a lot of falling flat on my face of, and this is for anyone that's tuning in, be guided by what feels good, be guided by what your pain points are, be guided by the lessons that you're going through, be guided by, oh, I'm curious of that, oh, that looks interesting. So then you may study that, or you may learn some deeper teachings around that. And then that's not the piece. So I feel sometimes we can get so boxed in with, it has to be this one thing. You have to focus on this one thing. And we're multidimensional beings. And for many of us, it's crazy of going, well, what is it? It doesn't really fit into this box. Then you start realizing, can I swear?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Saturday night.
Holy shit. It's like there's all these little pieces. And then you start realizing, and that's what's been coming through. And it's still refining, and I'm sure it's still going to keep refining. When I look back to when I was younger, I'm back to who I was when I was 3 years old, with the wisdom of an almost 49-year-old. So,
oh my gosh. First of all, and you look so young. You're like angelic on camera right now. So you started to, and what it seems to me is like it's always evolving. I mean, don't you feel that we're, like you said, there's just these pieces, and I'm almost getting there. I'm almost sure, but then that layer evolves, and that layer evolves, and it's like you're never kind of done.
Right. And then it's like that undressing and the peeling back to then really get to the point of there are no labels. There's no labels. So, we can get attached to I'm this, and that's part of the journey as well. So it's that path. And I guess that's what I guide people through, of shifting beyond the ego, the identity, the self of who we think we are, of what we've created, our personality, our persona, to then start peeling that back and undressing that and really getting back to our real, true self.
And do you feel that people have a harder time doing that? I mean, like for me, okay. I just wanted to hear about sort of, are people coming to you and saying, I want to do this? Or are you sort of starting to say to somebody, you're here, but we need to get there?
I'm meeting them where they're at, but I am doing a little bit more prodding now, because I do find, and I'm going to call this out on camera, there's a lot of men and women that are in the corporate arena that have been doing it a certain way. So they've mastered that old way of doing things. And now we've got the light workers that have been doing the inner work behind the scenes for many, many years, like 10 years, 12 years, whatever it is. And I really feel there's a shift. We're here to guide those that have been doing it in a very a different way of learning. So there's this transition. So I do find there's a little bit of this, I don't want to work with you yet, until I learn this, until I understand more about my spirituality. It's like, hey, but you're here. I'm going to give you some tools so you can unravel quicker.
Yeah. And now, do you think that's fear? You think that's fear?
There's fear. There's a little bit of the ego coming up against resistance of like, why am I going to listen to this person? I'm not quite sure. I'm curious. I feel something, but she doesn't really fit into the mold of what, of what they use.
I think I can relate to not fitting into the mold. I get it.
Right. So there's this fear. And when you sit in that space and that presence and someone is radiating back light and love, it can feel very confronting, because then you start to recognize the pieces and the bits within yourself that, whoa, it's like having a spotlight placed on you. So it does. It takes courage.
For some people.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable because then you have to look at your doo-doo and your shit and all the dinky, right? But then what people forget is when I'm with people, I'm not putting any mask on. I'm not hiding behind anything. So I'm showing up in my vulnerability, and I feel that's the magic. That's what we need to do more of.
I couldn't agree more. You know, the fact that you're doing that, I feel that vibe from you, and it's helping me. And I'm not even like in any kind of session or anything with you, but it feels like very open and honest and raw, and like I could just be my truest self, which I'm learning to be, and is really starting to in my transformation right now in my life, in both personally and professionally. And I have a lot going on. Like, I'm moving, my house is in disarray. I just started a new amazing endeavor with something new. I am, doing my own thing and just sort of evolving. And it's an amazing time, but it's a lot, So each day I sort of go, okay, I'm going to face the day. I'm going to be living with Annietude. I'm going to follow what I preach. And then, undoubtedly throughout the day, I'm like, oh my God, like I start melting. And then I realize like, it's okay. That's why I posted the other day on LinkedIn, like, it's okay not to be okay sometimes. Like, I just can't always show up to everybody bubbly and in your face and excited and psyched. I'm just sometimes not okay. And I'm learning that's okay.
It's beautiful to give yourself that permission and to really own it and honor it. I think it's really, and I feel that needs to be in that as well. When someone is in that place of saying, I'm not okay, the other person needs to be willing, if you're going to open that door, to be willing to give that person the space and a safe container, because that's what we've got. It's very, in Australia, it's like, oh, g'day, mate, how you doing? That's my useless accent there. I'm pretending, but they'll go, how you doing? And it's then they're not really asking. It's this habitual social.
Yes, this how you doing? It's not wondering what about the person.
It's this social validation of pretending just to connect, but not really connecting.
But not connect.
Not connecting on a really deep level.
Yeah, I so agree with you.
Right.
Go on.
And then, when someone's not okay, then not allowing them to be in that container, that space and that safe space, that it's okay to, you don't have to go, well, no, you're not. You need to shift now. Come on, make a move, make a positive move. It's like, we're done with that old way of the personal development. We're done with it. That needs to move, it's had its place, and that is the shift.
What I find? You know what I find? It's that when you're an open, honest, and vulnerable type person, a little bit, or maybe not vulnerable as much as like I'm very real. So I show up as much as my truest self as I can that day, right? And it's becoming more and more and more authentic. But when you do that and you are a bubbly kind of positive person, that expectation, both from people and of yourself, is really, really high. So there is that positive toxicity of people like, oh man, like you're not in a good mood today, or like you're not, your positive self, what's wrong? And it's like, like you just said, it's so great. You said, I just want to be in that container sometimes.
See, there's magic in that, because what they're actually saying is they're not okay. So you showing up in that way, and this is where it comes into the sacred energy exchange. I think I've got that on my profile, sacred energy exchange. They're basically, through unawareness from them not being aware of this, seeing you as this. My friend says it, have you been attracting the moths to your light again, because they fly in and they're like, oh, I need this.
Yes, and suck it out of you.
Right. And then when you're like, no, and you put this mirror up and you set some clear boundaries, then they're like, I don't like it. Because they're not getting to feed. So these people that are coming along through unawareness of what they're not understanding about energy, they're like, oh, here's Annie. Annie's going to make me feel better. Annie's going to lift me up. Anna's going to make, oh, here comes Annie. And we've got this culture of this feeding, right? So it's from your point of view, here's an invitation. You don't even need, when you recognize people like this, and it's not making them wrong, it's just understanding energy. Ask yourself, do I really need to share how I'm feeling with them right now? Because we're dealing with sacred energy. And then are they the reflection and the mirror that I really want to open up into? Because then when you do open it, they're like, oh, poor you. And then it's like, oh, now you've dumped your unresolved heavy stuff onto me. Hey. So what I've been doing with people recently, and this is with friends and girlfriends, is rather than socially vomiting on someone, or you have this, I'm just going to dump on them. Ask permission.
Yeah.
We need to start asking permission. And then if you're not in that space where you want to receive what the other person, their karmic shit that they're not dealing with, or they don't know how to deal with, then taking yourself off the hook of going, right now is not a great time for me. I'm now choosing, how about we set up this time? And this needs to be honored, I feel, as more and more light workers are there holding space, because I feel there's this misconception with in the corporate, it's set up as, I always set up a consult. So it's like taking that leap, because there you're sharing sacred energy. And we need to remember that just because it's spiritual does not mean to say it's a free exchange. There needs to be.
Right. And this is just, it all comes down, at least to me, it sounds like boundaries. It sounds
like self-love, self-worth, and asking yourself, if you're constantly in there, hey, I love you, an emoji. It's like, nah, you're actually, Wally, give me attention. Let me plug in and feed. And I've had people like that, and you can feel it. And it's like, okay, what is it within yourself you need to change? Maybe you need to establish new boundaries.
Yeah, and getting that lens and turning it inward instead of looking out.
Seeing them with love and compassion, and maybe setting some boundaries. They may not like the reflection, but being really pure and true in yourself. And it's not about that either. It's about, you know what? I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm choosing.
Doing the dance, not doing the dance anymore.
Drawing a line in the sand, people talk about oneness and, let's all oneness, let's all do love. Well, we can all do that when everyone starts taking responsibility for themselves and their energy.
You're preaching to the choir, because one of my biggest threads throughout my, when I talk to clients and I talk to people and friends, and is let's talk about your contribution here. I had an instance recently where it's I was upset about something and I was bothered by something, but when I really looked at it, it's I'm enabling this. I'm contributing this to this relationship. So I have to stop blaming, because then it just sits with me as anger, and what's the point of that? And I have resentment, and I don't want to feel that way.
Right. So let me clarify. So you're then joining in on their bitching or their whining or their complaining?
No, it's more like an instance in my life where I have some resentments towards some things in the past, and I'm carrying that with me, and I have to look at my contribution. And I'm very big with my clients and people that I deal with. It's let's talk about your responsibility in this. It's not blame and shame, right? I'm not trying to take on this shame, or it's just my responsibility. I think that's so key into what we're talking about.
Mm. They're like key foundations for really starting to unfuck yourself, to start breaking free, to even the resentment, even the people that have done whatever they've done, we've attracted them. And that they've been my greatest teachers all the way through life. And to really see them, that they were actually resonating the exact same vibration that I was unable to see within myself, because a lot of it all comes down to worthiness, or being in that vibration of helplessness, hopelessness, worthlessness. And when you shift beyond that and you start feeling it, it's like, it's draining to be around. So it's setting really clear boundaries for people, because boundaries, which we learn when we're kids as well, is like, hey, I love you, and I'm giving you a reflection of self-love within self, that this, and until we can get to that point of really getting clear in what our no is, then when we're feeding and keeping the other person stuck, and they may not like the response, and they may have to spin off. I have people that I work with, and sometimes they have to spin off for, I don't know, a year, 2 years, because it's something that I've said to, and and then it sinks in.
Yeah,
that's love.
People have to be really open and willing to seek and accept help from someone like you, who is so not only knowledgeable, but just insightful. And you've been doing this for a long time, and you've gone through your own journey too. So there's not, like me, I feel like there's not much that people can come to you and say that you might not be able to really like, be like, I just totally don't understand that. Like, I think that's probably rare, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where they come to you and you're like, yeah, it's not something I've ever dealt with or want to, I mean, at least for me, like, it's really rare for somebody to be going through something or feeling something that I have no idea how to relate to. I just have that empathic personality.
I wanted to say something on the word help. And I feel the word help is such a misused word. I feel it's a misunderstood word, and it can often, from my personal opinion, it's a lot of the personal development old way of doing things is built on help, and it's like, I will throw people a rope so they learn to do it themselves. I will never jump in the water with them. I will never jump in the ocean if they're drowning, because they'll drown themselves, and they'll drown you with them. So I will throw them a rope. And when I say hope, it's a hope coming from the heart, not from, I hope, wishful thinking. It's like, here's the fucking rope, grab it. You need to grab it with everything that you have. And I will stand on the side and wait for you. But I'm not going to stand here and wait forever. Maybe you're not ready to pull yourself up. Maybe you need to stay in your victim mentality. Maybe you need to stay in your poor me for a little bit longer, so you can cough and you can drown and you can splutter. And this may be hard truth for people to hear. So you can keep playing your victim program until you're truly ready to start pulling yourself out. Because that was the program that I played. And when you play that program, you'll be in there, oh, it's not fair, they did this. It's okay, stay there. That's your lesson. You need a little bit more suffering. You need a little bit more pain until you were really, really ready at rock bottom. You're like, I'm going to do everything that I can. And then when the rope comes, you scramble out of there as quick as you can. And that's when the real work starts.
Wow. I wish that I could say that as eloquently as you just did, because you really just put it in the most clear fashion I could ever hear, of just like rock bottom, like that's true, utter rock bottom. If you're not ready and open and willing, you're going to just doggy paddle in place and hamster on a wheel, and just not be able to truly, like you said, do the work. And it is hard to do the work. It is not easy, but it is so rewarding when you can really let it go and become who you really are. So I want people to know, first of all, we have some love here, obviously, from one of my favorite people on earth, Michael Paterano.
Hey, Mikey.
Absolutely amazing women that are leading the way in their own truest ways. Oh, he's so sweet.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
Jeremy said, victimism is as powerful as any other ism.
Yeah, it is. It's a powerful one. It's probably one of the most powerful ones. And it's in society, of what's happening in society right now, and all the interesting circus that is playing out. It's a way to keep people bound in their victimness, of their rightness, of their wrongness, of their entitlement, of their arrogance. of their excuses.
It does. And it keeps you really, really stuck. And that's what I try to do, like in my everyday life is I believe my mission is to help heal others. And in doing so, I heal myself. And sorry, I use the word help again, but I don't
That's
know when.
All right. You've got to use what feels right for you.
But it's more when I say help, to me, that doesn't mean doing it for them. That means being there, being a sounding board, being a person that has experienced the life experiences that I have, and being able to relate and have an empathic, compassionate way of hearing the people. Because I think that a lot of like my clients and people that I've dealt with, it's that they haven't been able to have a voice and they haven't been heard. They may have spoken, but they haven't really been heard. So I try to do that listening.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. I love the way that we all have our different ways of guiding. For me, it's about guiding. The word help. I mean, I do have it on my profile. People have said, you need to have it on there because that's what most people relate to. But I never want to create the scenario where they're placing me on a pedestal and they're seeing me, oh, you're helping me. It's like, with the child and the parent, teach them to do it themselves. I will guide people to do it themselves so they don't need me. I don't want people to need me. I don't want people to feel that, oh, Zoe's going to help me. No, I'll give you the tools so you start to become ninja-like, so you start to navigate it yourself. Because every time you go, oh, you help me, oh, wow, it's like there's this undercurrent of an unconscious program of the helper and the helped, of this disempowerment. It's so unconscious, but it can often, people when they go on the spiritual journey, they get hooked into one teacher. Oh wow, they're my guru, so they constantly follow them, and they feast off everything that comes out of their mouth. So they're in this, and they're not integrating for their own divine, unique voice and truth to come through.
And it's very interesting. We're actually nearing the end of our time together, but I'm just gonna stay on for extra time because whatever. If people are listening, they want to hang out. So I'm not done here. So and I don't want to keep. I know it's like your beautiful Sunday morning. I don't want to keep you. I mean, this is my date for tonight, so I could talk your ear off. But
I'm good. I'm going to be writing after this.
But
so, I'm good.
So it really resonated with me when you said the parent and child relationship because. There's such a fine line there when, you do have to do everything for the baby when you have a baby. And then the baby becomes a toddler and you're still doing some things. You're tying the child's shoes and you're getting the food and drink. And then that's sort of, when they fall, you make it better. And then what I'm finding as a mom is like, it's really hard. I have a 10-year-old boy who's about to be 11. I have an 8-year-old girl who's like, I call her my human Velcro because she's like on me, like, and she's going to be 9 in November. And there's two things. Sometimes I do things for them when they should do them themselves because it's easier. That's number one. Number two, sometimes I forget that they can do it for themselves, but I really want to be more pushing them to be more independent because they need to learn how to do these things for themselves. It's important. And they need to also be watching me do things for myself because I'm their role model and I'm leading the way. It's just, feels like a lot of pressure sometimes as a parent to do things the right way. You have to really navigate that and learn it like yourself. No one's telling me how to mom.
I've got two boys. One's 12, one's 13. I think it was a few years ago. I was like, I'm not doing it. You do it. So I sort of, if it's not there, it's like, it's not my job. If you can't find it, you need to put it away. If we're really going to stand in our truth and bring out self-responsibility, then it begins with what's showing up. Our children, I believe, are our teachers. If we were to do less and say less and control less, we're there to guide, but rather than putting our opinions and our beliefs onto our children and allow them to find their path and guide them by being present, then I feel there would be less dysfunction in the world.
Absolutely.
So they know I've been very open and honest with them. I'm like, my soul mission comes first. And that includes me putting on my oxygen mask each and every moment. They started learning this when they were really, really young, because I needed to, otherwise there would be nothing.
Yeah.
And then relationships, which includes them. So I've wanted to instill this for them, and this may be really challenging for people to hear, because they're like, no, your children should come first. And it's like, well, my past has been my past, and being of service, it's like stepping into that. And with that, the sacrifices. But then indirectly, what it's showing them is to always follow their own path, that their answers need to come from through them, not necessarily from me. So we do have different opinions, and it's beautiful. And it's none of my business to put my opinions onto them. My business is to walk my talk and my truth, like you're saying, and for them to see that as my expression, which is not them. They have their own expression.
Yes. Now, was there like a certain age? I don't mean to turn this into like a parenting.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I think it's relevant.
It's really relevant and really interesting to me. Like, was there just a time, and I'm not a mom that sort of does everything for that. Like, I'm very much like, I'm kind of a hard ass sometimes. Like, I'm like, you're going to do that yourself. I'm not doing it. I'm not remembering this. This goes in the washer, whatever. This has to get done, your uniform. But like, there is an element of control, that those are some pieces in my life that I can definitely control, when right now everything is kind of all over the place. So I'm finding that, and I'm having to kind of come back to center. And remember that they do have a voice, and they do need to be heard, and they have an opinion. And also, like I just said, I need to live my life as my best self, because they really watch and hear everything that I do. Everything. We're very, very close. And, my son will drop in things that I said, like the other day, he's like, Mom, you should really run in the morning. I'm like, why? He's like, your days are so much better when you run. I'm like, how did you do? I mean, it's not that in deep, but like he is playing Fortnite and going to school, and that's all he does. He's not paying attention to what I'm doing. I didn't think, but he'll always sort of put his arms around me and just say, I love you. And he's not sort of that kind of kid. So we're very, very in tune, soulfully, and my daughter too. And I just have to be really careful how I'm walking the walk and talking the talk, and putting my money where my mouth is all the time.
Be you. I mean, children don't need to see perfection. We have too much of that. They need to see you sometimes losing your shit. It's not
don't worry about that.
right? And it's okay. And it's okay to do that. How do I find my center? I think that's what you're going to ask. How do I find my center and put on my own oxygen mask? Started 10 years ago. They were 2.5 and 3.5. And from a very young age, because we were going down the toilet, basically, and our life was turning into our worst nightmare. So, and it was a slow process, and it started with meditation. So it was like, this is my time when I'm doing this, for them not to have my attention, not even to have my acknowledgement. And to know that is my space. And when they started seeing that I could be a more present and more grounded parent and not lose my shit so much, then they started feeling safer. They started feeling more connected in themselves. And now they know, don't disturb Mum. If I'm meditating, they're like, unless they're choking to death, or
somebody's bleeding out,
or they're dying. Right? Which then they go,
I've been there. Unless you're bleeding out, do not interrupt me. I get it.
And that's where boundaries begin. So, and that's like self-love. I needed to set some really firm boundaries because I didn't know how to set them. And they know now that's not negotiable. So you need to, and then by them, it's giving them permission to be themselves, and also set them firm boundaries.
Set their boundaries too.
Yeah.
Zoe-Anna, what do you want to tell the people listening or that listen later, like what's your message? What do you want to leave them with?
I want to let them know can I let them know about a trilogy that's coming out in December?
Of course, absolutely. Let them know about whatever.
So I have a trilogy that's coming out December. It was a rewrite from my first book. And the first book, there's a massive transformation from when I wrote that to then this trilogy. It's a journey. It's my memoir. It's a journey through healing, suffering, pain, trauma. A how-to, so people can start to heal themselves and really start to love their yoni. So for women, learning to love their most vulnerable aspect, which is between their thighs, and to really embrace their sensuality whilst going out there and remembering their soul mission. So I feel it's going to be a book that's going to assist people with guiding them through this healing journey and then activating them so they can go out and share their own magic with the world.
Wow. I mean,
December 2020.
That's amazing. I'm so excited that you shared that. And it's truly, I don't know if anyone else is getting this vibe, but it's just sort of like magical to talk to you. Like it just feels like that's how it feels to me. Like truthfully, you can watch any other podcast. I don't really say that if I'm not feeling it. Like it's just very, I said this the other day, I'm not like wired to be right here. I have to practice this. This is mindful. I'm distractible and I'm frenetic, but I practice mindfulness, meditation, whatever I have to do, writing, journaling to be in the moment. And you're like a meditative sort of person. Like I feel like I'm practicing the mindfulness while I'm speaking to you. So I just wanted to thank you for bringing your aura. It means a lot to me that you took your time on Sunday morning to come and be with me. It was really just a beautiful, beautiful time.
I love being with you. It's an absolute honor. It's, it's a pleasure to meet soul sisters and soul brothers with soul family. And I really feel it's a really beautiful, rich time for these deep connections. And I want to honor you for rocking up and showing and being a guiding light for your beautiful children on this crazy adventure.
It sure is, this crazy adventure they call life. So you promised to in the book sooner or later, like
December. So December. I have an amazing editor at the moment that's basically kicked my ass and gone, this is like verging on pornography. What are you talking about? I'm like, so like, and I've just gone through this big healing, and I'm like, whoa, did I really write that?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're constantly recreating. So yeah, weaving it into really beautiful, an extension of myself, really, to take people on that vulnerable journey and share that with the world, because my life before this moment right now is basically, it's a blank slate. It's a blank slate. My past it's not who I'm, if that makes sense, that present moment of being. It's the past is a completely blank slate now, and I want to guide people of how they can create that themselves.
That's amazing, because it's not for most people.
Well, so, it's heavy. It's heavy, and that's part of the magic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Mike left another comment. Building a circle of people that you trust with diversity of perspectives will create a complete student that can move on to guide others. Key to being whole and complete. He's very, very introspective person.
Yeah, I think as well that I love that perspective. Again, it's different for everyone. I find I spend more and more time in my own space, and I'll pop up and I'll go deep in circles of people, and then I have to unplug. And I can have a little time around people in groups, and I think it's great. And then I don't want to. Then the rest of the time I want to be in my own bubble and creating. And in that place,
it's a beautiful thing to want to be in your bubble versus being stuck in your self and not wanting to be there. So you created this amazing Zoe-Anna bubble. That's a beautiful thing. So,
and almost 49. It's no, you know, age is nothing, people. It doesn't matter when it all starts. It starts this moment, and age has nothing to do with it.
I love it. I love your whole message and all of it. So I thank you for being here. And from my heart, thank you. My gratitude to you. Love to you. Enjoy your Sunday. Will you stay on? I'm going to say goodbye. Watch my fancy outro. It goes like this.
I love it.
Everybody have a good night. You stay on with me. Bye.